Oh, there you are.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Hey, Jess. Good morning. Instagram is sometimes behaves very glitchily. So I don't know why it does this, but anyhow, we got it to work. And remember, you are a sanctuary founder. And it's all about plan Bs, right?
It's all about the pivot. Yes. Being ready
Exactly.
for a secondary plan and a tertiary plan when that one falls through.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'm Faik Bouhrik, the founder of Vegius, and this is Jess. Just help me pronounce your last name correctly. So how do you pronounce it?
It's pronounced Luchtel.
Luchtel. I was calling it to Luchtel. Okay, Luchtel.
Oh, yeah, that's very common.
Okay, Luchtel. Jess Luchtel, and Jess is the founder of Safe Sanctuary in Florida. And Jess is really a very remarkable person with a very remarkable heart. And hearing her story, I was deeply touched. And so I decided to invite her on the show, and she very, very gracefully accepted. So Jess, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited about the Vegius app and the opportunity to share the story of the sage animals and everything.
Absolutely, this is just the very beginning, and we have a journey to take together, as sanctuaries and this organization as one global family. That's really was the point of starting all of this, and this is just the very beginning. And in fact, one of your fans, her name is Patty's.
Oh, thank you, Patty. I love you.
Yeah, she says you are one of her favorite people. That's very, very sweet. So, Jess, tell us. So, usually for me, the first question that I ask founders of sanctuaries is, when did you become vegan? And since you became vegan, to the point that you decided to start a sanctuary. So what happened in those days, years, or whatever time it took to go from that first realization to the second one?
Well, I went vegan in 2013, so I just celebrated my 10-year vegan anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you so much. It was a culmination of things. I had met a few vegans who were inspirational people, and I felt that, I was really inspired by what they were doing. I was proud of them, but I didn't think that I could possibly do it myself. And then I watched a documentary called Vegicated. And
Vegicated. I haven't heard of this one. Vegicated. Okay.
Vegicated. Yeah, it's kind of like educated, but with veg at the start. And the premise of that documentary, they take a few non-vegans and they have them try veganism for, I think it's like 6 weeks or something. And so after watching that film, I thought, I'll try it just for a few weeks. And I was amazed at how much more vitality I had, how much more energy, and just all the new recipes I was exploring and things like that. I never looked back. It was not a 6-week trial for me. It was a lifestyle change that really was permanent. And it was one of those things where I just couldn't believe I didn't do it sooner. It felt like the universe was pushing me in that direction for so long. And I just, for whatever reason, I was like stuck in the mud, and I didn't make that transition until I was ready, I guess. But once I did, I stuck with it. I was working in restaurants at the time that were, had non-vegan options and things like that. And it started to really just kind of the cognitive dissonance of serving up animals to people when I don't believe in eating them myself was really striking. And I wanted to get out of that industry. And I had an opportunity to go work for another local sanctuary. And being employed there, I think that's where I got my first taste of sanctuary life and how fulfilling and enriching it can be. I was working full time, like 40 hours a week, but often I would stay late just if there were things that needed to be done. I was going to do them. The animals needed, I'm there for them. So I think it gave me such a sense of purpose. And I really felt that because I'm a highly empathetic person, I can relate to the animals on a level that is of benefit to them. So I wanted to really use the gifts that I have for good.
And you absolutely are. You absolutely are. And in fact, in the last few not last few, I would just say now it's more than a year actually. The only person that they had that was a male, was actually Alex. That everybody else, and then Alex, of course, he's with his wife. His wife was not able to join us that day. But the profile of, if I'm asked about the profile of a typical founder of a vegan animal sanctuary, is female. It's the typical one. Highly empathetic, very sensitive, creative, and unbelievably resilient. So that is really, these are really the qualities that I keep seeing coming. These are the kinds of things that keep coming up. And you certainly, I have a very strong feeling you're certainly fit into that mold. And to me, that's in fact, I started the Vegius, the enterprise, the whole thing, because I think this is a very rare breed of human beings. And they are absolutely need to be supported and need to be recognized and honored. But there's no other way. I mean, because if I don't do it, I'll betray them and I'll betray myself, and I can live with that. So and Alex is here with us. So Alex was my only male guest in about like more than a year.
Alex is great, and his wife Kelly, and their sanctuary, Karma Farm Sanctuary, is such a great place.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And you, in fact, in our first conversation, you were one of few people that right away came to his mind. That, okay, you have to talk about this. And I'm very, very happy that we had that. Let me turn that phone off. So, Jess, once you embarked on this journey, so how did it go? Did you have to relocate? Did you have to buy land? So how did it start, and what kinds of challenges and lessons that you learned in the beginning of this journey?
Well, I went from being employed and working full-time for this other sanctuary. And there were, unfortunately, some roosters who were dumped outside of that sanctuary, and I was able to capture them. But my boss told me that she wasn't willing to take them in. So I took them in myself. I didn't know what else to do. And they needed a home. They needed love. They needed food. They needed vet care. And so I took them into my home, and I lived in a rural neighborhood, but when I got into looking into the zoning regulations, I was not approved to have roosters there. So I had to make a decision, and I started looking for a different place to live. The roosters, they didn't have anywhere to go. I was kind of the only person, me and my husband at the time were the only people that were willing to care for them. And so along with one of our really good friends, we started our own sanctuary. And that was at the old property. We first incorporated Sage in 2018 in the springtime. And then by the spring of 2019, we had moved to this location. And so here we are zoned where we can have roosters. And it's 5 acres. There's a beautiful pond. We're able to accommodate the needs of all the animals. And since we've been able to expand and take in some potbelly pigs as well as more roosters, a hen, we have a bunch of dogs, some cats, we have rescue bunnies, and it's grown along the way to be so much more than I ever dreamed it could have been. It has been a lesson in resilience. You mentioned that that's one of the characteristics that really sets us apart, and I think that's one that I would say is a requirement. Resiliency is mandatory if you're going to run a sanctuary. And it was, I want to say it was the pandemic, like the added stress of like all of the unknowns and, rising prices and things that weren't available, all that added stress, it really became like too much for my partners that were doing this with me. And so I'm lucky now that I have a new partner who's helping me. But, for a while there, I was kind of doing things on my own and working through, I guess, all of that stress and everything that I mentioned that was a little bit too much for everybody else to handle. In addition to still having the responsibility of running the sanctuary and making sure that everybody here is happy and fed and healthy. And oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmingly grateful to my partner, Brian, who's here helping me every day.
He's here with us on the show. Hi, Brian.
He's watching. Yeah. And so we are the only 2 full-time volunteers here. Sage is entirely volunteer run. We all the money goes directly to the animals. We don't take a payroll for ourselves. And we have an amazing group of regular volunteers. They come once a month. We do a nice little vegan potluck, and we get like the big projects done, the things that require a lot of hands. And that way we can make sure that everything's taken care of for the animals. And, you know, Brian and I, we both work full-time jobs outside of the sanctuary to support ourselves. And, you know, we contribute financially to the sanctuary as well. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but it's so rewarding. Like, it's the most enriching thing that I could possibly do with my life, to give my life to others. And there's nobody more deserving, I think, than innocent animals.
Oh, I'm totally speechless. I really am speechless. No, I really am, because, you know, you just get to listen to it. It just gives me hope that human beings are capable of, you know, because I know that we haven't really been great to the animals, but we are. The thing that gives me hope is that we are capable of greatness. And, you know, listening to you, Jess, is incredibly heartwarming and inspiring. And Brian, thank you so much for being to Jess's side and for doing what you do day in and day out. And then just I want to emphasize to our listeners here, you know, so there'll be people that are listening to us live and as well as on the recording later when we put it on our Instagram page. So Jess, she's working full time, and then she's doing this also full time, volunteering full time, and it is a 7 days a week, 365-day kind of commitment. And I just want people to take that just for a moment and sit with it for a second and think about it. And, you know, Jess, you know, this is really when I started volunteering at Animal Place, which is a sanctuary here in Grass Valley. It's about an hour from where I live. That's where I really conceived this idea of Vegius, because I saw this, you know, vegan revolution taking place. And everybody is just jumping on the wagon, trying to package it and sell it and make a buck out of it. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing, which is sanctuaries and the animals and the people that actually are bringing about changing of hearts and minds, are completely left out of the equation. So, and then again, this abundance is going to go and get concentrated somewhere. It's just because the cold calculus of the market.
Right.
This is one thing. The more I talk to people like you, the more I'm convinced absolutely the right thing to do is to deny the cold calculus of the market to enter into this space. It doesn't belong here, and it shouldn't. And then, I'm just incredibly, as I said, touched by just hearing that level of commitment. So just tell me, give us a typical day, considering particularly that you have a full-time job. How do you spend a typical day from between going to work or caring for the animals? How does a day play out for you?
Well, I think Brian usually wakes up a little bit before me, and he's very considerate. He lets me sleep while he feeds the inside crew, and then I feed the outside crew when I wake up. And then he's usually leaving for work while I'm getting ready for work, and then I leave. He has very flexible hours, which works to our advantage. And he does roofing here in Florida, if you can believe it. He doesn't work an easy job.
Wow.
But so some days, if it's raining, you know, he might not have work. And so those days he's available to be here to do more for the sanctuary. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so overwhelmingly grateful. He can talk to his boss and freely take time off if he needs to, you know, help out with a veterinary appointment or anything like that. But typically we both go to work. He gets home in the early afternoon and I get home shortly after. And then, you know, we have a little bit of downtime around, I think, well, this time of year with shorter days, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. We start feeding everybody dinner, and we're a little more flexible on that. It's kind of more of we feed everybody together instead of the split of inside versus outside people. But, you know, it's a collaborative effort, and then we make dinner for ourselves. We have a couple more hours of downtime. Usually I'll try to do some stuff with like office work, emails, fundraising, etc. And then we go to bed as early as we can because we know that tomorrow's going to come soon.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's official. Brian is now one of my heroes also. So now that I hear about it.
And he just celebrated his 3-year vegan anniversary.
Wow. And he has been vegan only for 3 years, and he has this level of commitment. That's just amazing. It's not a matter. It's not of a matter of how long somebody has been doing it. I mean, that helps in some ways, but it really is because some people have that kind of heart. It's just we as human beings, our hearts is in the right place, our mind isn't. This because of because we are learning from culture around us and all of that. But then some people, when they realize it, goes like this. That's it. Is that they go into it's not like a matter of wait. It's not a waiting game. And that it looks like Brian is one of those people. So that is really, really awesome to hear. So in all of this process, yes. So if somebody comes to you and say, "Hey, look, I would like to start a sanctuary," what will you advise me? What kind of advice will you give them?
I think some of the best advice is volunteer at an established sanctuary. Make sure that it's the type of work that you want to do and that you're cut out for. It is very physical all the time, lifting heavy things, and there are no breaks. You get no vacations. If you're someone who likes to travel, maybe don't start a sanctuary unless you have an entire crew already lined up to cover for you while you take vacations and things like that. I think, be prepared for the emotional toll that it's going to take. These animals, they make an impression on you and they find their way into your heart. And a lot of them don't have as long of a lifespan as humans. And that's something that is an unfortunate reality that I think, I've had to face a lot lately. With my current employment, I'm currently employed at another sanctuary, and it's amazing. And we have a lot of animal residents, and it's just be prepared to face those losses, and be prepared to keep your heart open and be ready to continue rescuing more animals, despite the emotional, physical, and mental toll that it is going to take on you. I think it's important. Something that's really important to me here in Florida is we have just an amazingly supportive community of people who run sanctuaries here that we occasionally will get together for dinners and things like that. It's very, very, very hard to schedule that with everybody and coordinate everybody's schedules, but having the community of people who really know what you're going through, who really understand all of those aspects of sanctuary life, I think another thing to be mindful of is that there's going to be a lot of messes if you're a clean person, or if you are opposed to germs, maybe sanctuary life is not for you. I have a rooster in the room with me right now, and he doesn't care where he goes to the bathroom, and I have to follow behind him and clean up. And that's my choice. I appreciate his company, so I'm willing to make that choice. And
is that the rooster with the Instagram page? What's his name? Because I followed the rooster. That's has an Instagram page. Is that the one?
I think you're talking about Craig the Noble, and he does have his own page. He's not indoors with me. He's outside with his best friend Toast.
I started following
First lady, and he doesn't like to leave her side.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I started following that page also. I follow your page, your personal page, the roasters page, as well as the sanctuary page. I think these are the three. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, Jess, I have a question. Let's see. Patty has a question. Can they wear diapers when they are inside?
100%. They sure can. And that's another thing that I could do for him if I wanted to. I don't have any chicken diapers, and I don't mind going behind him and cleaning up, spot cleaning. And he's not usually in here full time. Right now he's in here. He has a little cut on one of his toes, so I'm going to take care of that for him. And it was raining, so I didn't want to take him back outside yet.
Is it still raining?
It's been off and on raining. Yeah, it's just
it's Florida, so
the whole Florida scene. It's sunny 1 minute and then raining the next.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Florida is quite famous for that. So you mentioned something that I think is incredibly important. So you said you talked about the emotional tool. And in fact, it's one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you. So for me, let me tell you how I visualize this. There has been a war for 10,000 years. I mean, it's longer than that. It's longer. But the way that I think it mutated because before humans hunted animals that lived their lives, they were there, and then people went and hunted them. People were part of the landscape. But then I think with the domestication of animals and the evolution of agriculture about 10,000 years ago, something drastically has shifted in the way we view animals, the way we view our relationship with them, and that only intensified. And I think of that, particularly the last 100 years, 200 years, where it took this oppression and suffering took industrial scale. So, and what I think about sanctuary founders is that people like you, Jess, is like this, literally. So that you are the rescue workers, and you are on the front line. And you are on the front line of the rescue worker. You are the rescue worker on the front line because of the nature of your heart and your level of empathy. You are absolutely able to see through the fog, and therefore you have no allegiance to your tribe. You're not saying, "No, my humanity." So if you think about tribes in that sense, humanity is my tribe, is doing this, and though animals deserve what they got. You see them for what they are, and that is, in fact, is a lot more traumatizing than seeing the suffering of if one tribe's members. Of course, that's also could be devastating. But to see that our tribe is doing this violence, particularly to this kind of level of innocence, and is incredibly hard. And the tool is this psychological tool is incredibly real. It's real, and I think we should not shy away from talking about it. And it's part of the support for anybody who chooses to be an ally, is to bear witness. Of course, there is the beauty, of course, there is the inspiration, but also there is this hardship, and there is this reality that people like Jess, we are not only asking them to do all this work, they are doing all this work, and they are doing it. You're not only doing it for free, you're spending your own money into it, and having to figure out problems of all kinds of scale, from very foundational problems to logistical problems on a day in and day out. So all of that adds up. That enough stress. For many people, just to balance their checkbook is enough stress. That drives them crazy. And then there is this extra layer of you having to bear witness day in and day out. And I feel so a theme that has been coming out a lot, or coming up a lot in my conversations. When I ask the founders actually about the hardest thing they have to do, they tell me when they have to say no, because they are at full capacity, and they are always at full capacity. Then they have to say no to a case where they would have done it at a heartbeat, but it does not come easy psychologically. And I was wondering, how do you relate to that particular aspect of this work?
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. One of the hardest things is because humans aren't always nice about the way they ask you to take an animal, and sometimes they try to put pressure on you, and sometimes that includes threatening the safety or health of the animal if you aren't going to take them. It's almost like an ultimatum. And I would say those are the hardest situations to deal with. It's mostly the people, the humans, that can be challenging. And I think, like you were saying, the disillusionment with our society and how, as a whole, we kind of victimize animals without batting an eye. I'm so envious of people who have had success speaking with their own family members about their choice to go vegan. Because I've spoken with my family members. I was raised as an animal lover. My mom would rescue and adopt orphaned wildlife. My grandfather was a game warden, and so she grew up when I tried to talk to her about, oh, hey, Mom, you taught me to love animals. Now I also love cows, pigs, and chickens. What do you think? She put up some very solid mental barriers, and we aren't really able to have those conversations. So I think that's one of the hardest things for me, is my closest family members that I know love animals, who, for whatever reason, be it the being consistent with their tribe, like you mentioned, or, you know, the convenience factor, whatever it happens to be, that it's their habit, any of those just kind of invalid excuses, the way that I view them anyways. You know, those are the hardest things, I think, because I love my mom so much, and I love my sister, and I just want them to be healthy. And I also know that, you know, there are deleterious effects to eating animal products, and eating that stuff isn't great for them. So trying to bridge that gap, I think, with the people that are closest to me has been probably the most challenging.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, and that's again that yet another level of challenge that you'd have to overcome, which is not only having to work to find solutions day in and day out. Well, then there is the family isolation, and there is the hardship that comes, you know, the psychological hardship. And of course, I'm not trying to, you know, make it sound it's all hardship. And of course, there is a reason. So there is a reason why you are putting up with all of this. There is a reason. And so on the other side of it, lifelines of sanctuaries are two things: volunteers, donations. Because sanctuaries are non-profit organizations, and I'm talking here about legitimate vegan animal sanctuaries, animal-centered sanctuaries like the Sage Sanctuary that just started. So, Jess, can you tell us a little bit about the volunteer as well as the donation membership structure at the sanctuary?
Yeah, so we have a Patreon where people can sponsor individual animals, and that gives us a monthly income that we can depend upon. I think that's probably one of the kind of hardest things about sanctuary life. You never know, like this month, if you're going to see a couple $100s in donations, or, you know, just a couple dollars in donations. So the unknown factor can be a little bit more stressful. So when people want to really support sanctuaries, if they can find a way to give monthly, I think that's the most helpful. And then people are very, very responsive whenever we have emergency needs. And that has probably been the lifeblood of Sage Sanctuary, that every time we've had a huge financial crisis, like veterinary expenses or shelters that needed to be rebuilt because of storm damage, our community has come together and really responded to those pleas. You know, we primarily use social media to reach our audience. We used to maintain an email list, and that kind of fell off with the pandemic and the restructuring of the leadership here at Sage and everything. So it's been something I've been wanting to get back into, maybe doing a monthly email list, because that can reach people that maybe aren't on Facebook or Instagram. But we also have I mentioned our monthly volunteer days that we do, and we'll host those we were doing them every other month, and then we've been fortunate enough lately to do them every month.
Oh, and lovely.
Sometimes there's as many as like 25 people here. Sometimes there's only 5. Like, some people show up even when it's raining. We have a core crew that is really dedicated. And then there's always a nice potluck at the end, so it's worth coming anyways, even if you aren't going to help. Come enjoy some vegan food and, you know, cook for your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds wonderful. And about the membership, monthly membership, I absolutely encourage everybody to do it. It's a beautiful way to be connected to a sanctuary and become part of that family. And just for me, I would love to become a sponsor for an animal starting in 2024. I will get in touch with you about this.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you.
No, I would love to do it. I mean, to me, sanctuaries, as I said, mean so much to me, and their work means so much to me. And I would love to be connected to as many of them as I can. And this is a very, very tiny thing that I can do. And I just want to emphasize to our listeners is that even for the price of 2 cups of coffee a month, like $10, that makes a huge difference for a small animal like a rooster, a chicken, or even a big animal. And, you know, some sanctuaries have it where, you know, it's one pot and that goes around. Other sanctuaries like to, you know, give you the opportunity to sponsor one animal. But regardless, the love goes around, and it's an incredible way to be connected to a sanctuary, you know, getting that sort of like it's coming through for them. And also I would like to say that please follow follow the sanctuary page, Sage Sanctuary. You could see it on top. Please follow follow on social media, whether you are hearing us now live or you are listening to the recording. And if you are not following us, please click on the vegan stay, and then you could see our handler is the vegan stay. And in fact, we're going to change even the name, the handler. We're going to change that very soon, because we expanded it to our original vision, Vegius. And I really hope that Vegius is going to be another addition to this sort of dynamic of generating income for sanctuaries. And as I said, instead of letting that abundance that have been created sort of just be subject to the same old calculus of the market, that we infuse it with the type of vegan ethos that Sage and other sanctuaries stand so beautifully for. And I think it absolutely is going to come down to that, what kind of landscape we choose to make. If we have the power, we really do. The only thing is that we just have to coordinate and talk to each other. But we have the power. We do. We are very powerful. Sometimes like for you, Jess. I mean, look how powerful you are. Look what you have to deal with starting an organization, going change. Okay, so I can't care for roosters in this county. Okay, screw it. I'm going to move to another county. That's what they say. It's the empathy. It's that very, very, very amazing combination of those two things: the empathy, the sensitivity, the compassion, everything that makes human life so tender and sweet. And that sort of like the goddess, the fearless goddess, kind of, that's going to fight for her children, and her children happen to be non-human animals, and then we're willing to take a punch and stand up and fight another day. It's a pretty remarkable. As I said, it's a pretty special, very, very unique breed of a human being that I think should be recognized and honored. And that's why I keep coming back to those hardships, because I just want people to understand what kind of the backdrop against which that beauty is created. Of course, there are those beautiful interactions, many of which we are captured on social media, and that's always is real. But that happens against a backdrop of real hard work and commitment, and that should not be undersaid. So, Jess? Is it raining right now?
It looks like it has slowed down.
It's okay. If we can't see the animals
it's raining a little bit.
Yeah, we can do it another. We can just continue now, just for maybe over 10 minutes, just chat, and then another time we can just do it when we know the weather is good. We can just have a quick visit with the animals. We would love to see them. So, but we'll do it another.
Yeah, the rain was not supposed to start until 2:00, but it came early.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very very understandable, and we'll work around that. And then this is an excuse for us to do another one in the future. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So Jess, please tell us. So you told us about so you have 5 acres. So how many total animals you have, and what kinds of species that are around now?
So we have 36 total, I think. My math is not with me right now, but there are currently 5 roosters, we have 4 roosters, 5 chickens total. 5 chickens, 1 is a hen. Her name is Toast, and she lives with the rooster Craig, who you mentioned has his own Instagram. And the other 3 roosters live together. They have what's called like a bachelor flock, where as long as there aren't hens to have little disagreements about, the boys can get along just fine. And since roosters often need a lot of homes, the bachelor flock works for us. We have 14 potbelly pigs. They're all outside sleeping. I wanted to introduce you to some of them today, and I had invited them into the yard that's closer to the Wi-Fi router. But with the rain, they've decided to go back to sleep.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it soon enough. And Brian says you have 37 animals.
37? Oh, he has better math than I do. So we have 4 cats. We have 7 dogs who are residents of Sage, and we're currently fostering 2 more. So there are 9 dogs.
9, wow. Okay, wow.
And then we have 4 bunny rabbits.
Oh, that's so sweet. But rabbits, as you know, they're some of the gentlest, sweetest beings that have ever been conceived in this world. So,
They're so sweet, and they have huge personalities. And once you learn about their body language, they're actually like very communicative. Rabbits, they seem like they're so quiet, but if you learn, they are speaking to you. It's just all body language.
yeah. That's pretty amazing. And then and I'm assuming this is something that you learned actually by doing, by caring for them at the sanctuary.
Yes, these are the first 4 rabbits I've ever cared for. And I'm fortunate to have a mentor who also runs her own sanctuary where they have rabbits. And she has taught me everything that I know about their care. And, I've learned just through experiencing interactions with them as well that, each of them is his own individual person. With very different personalities. Keenan's very outgoing, whereas Chancellor, he really would prefer if I left him to his own devices.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, this is the thing that what happens with when we call, so when people say, "Oh, I ate chicken for lunch." No, you didn't eat chicken. You ate that particular individual.
Right.
You didn't eat chicken. It's not a category. It's actually an individuals. And I think so. This is one thing. This is one thing that I think is this superpower, latent superpower that should be used more, which of course, given the right support, by sanctuaries, which is education. When you bring in people face to face with these animals and you start talking to them about as if they are individuals, it's very, very powerful experience. I have seen that with the visitors at Animal Place. I've participated in tours, particularly before the pandemic, and you see when visitors come in and they start interacting with the animals, start to recognize them for their quirks, for their personalities, and then it becomes much, much hard to sort of abstract them into something that we use, like this. I mean, even wood. I mean, really, this table is made up from a particular tree, but it's a different thing when it comes to sentience. Because a tree is not self-conscious, but an animal is. So even inanimate objects are not exactly the same thing. Each one is different. Let alone a sentient beings that has a subjective experience of the world. It's
right.
Yet somehow it's pretty amazing pretty remarkable what structures of power and how they corrupt our souls. It's really remarkable. They have to. Well, because if they don't, it becomes really hard for us to oppress and participate. It just makes complete sense. And I just find the power of sanctuaries. That is one thing that really, really, really excites me. It's not only, animal like yours, not only you're caring for those animals that you are having on the premises, you are caring for animals you never meet by changing the minds and hearts of people, so they're not gonna harm them in the first place, and then we're not gonna create that. Yeah, absolutely, very, very, very critical, very, very critical. So, Jess, as we wrap up today, please tell us any other thoughts that you have, any things that you would like to share, anything that you would like to discuss with our audience or to make our audience aware of, about you, about the sanctuary, about how they can get in touch if, let's say, they have something to contribute, and any of that.
If you are following us on Facebook and Instagram, you can find in our profile a link to everything Sage. So we have a Linktree link on there, so you can see our Patreon, any kind of donation apps like PayPal if you want to send via Venmo. You can sign up to do monthly donations on our Patreon. That's also available on our profile page. But I think you started to touch on an idea, and I just wanted to reiterate that
Please, yes.
we can save as many animals as we can save at our sanctuary. And every sanctuary has a maximum capacity to where, we really want to reach people's hearts and ultimately save the most animals through changing hearts and changing minds of how people view them, how people exploit them and victimize them. And, hopefully, like you're saying, we can create a new world with new ways of looking at animals and each other and compassion that is shared with all of us.
Absolutely, and absolutely, and it's exactly why I think vegan animal sanctuaries are the perfect places to do that. In fact, in one day, where I wrote on my status on Facebook, vegan animal sanctuaries are the most civilized places on earth. And they are.
Well, thank you.
Yes, they are. Well, they are. They are. It's just simple. For me, just I was just looking at something like, yeah, of course they are. I mean, what else can I say? They are the most civilized places on earth. You know, it's a germ, because it's it's a germ. It's not a germ in the positive sense. It's a glimpse. When we look at them, it's a glimpse of a version of humanity that we could see, that we could actually work towards. Something that gives me hope in the morning to wake up from, to leave my bed and then start the day and work and get excited. Otherwise, if you really think about it, it's the same barbaric place that it was 1,000 years ago, this earth, and it probably will continue to do so as long as we don't turn away from this destructive road that we have embarked on, thousands of years ago. And so, Jess, also talking about the tree, the link tree. That's exactly one thing I wanted to add to the Vegius app. For every sanctuary, there will be the tree, and every time somebody makes a transaction. So let's say somebody attends an event, and then you will be one of the receivers of the donation from the app. We will send them a thank you with a confirmation for the ticket, and then we're going to give them a link and with information say, you have supported this sanctuary already. Oh, I did? Yes, you did. But why don't you learn more about them, so now that you know who you've helped? And then so we are going to sort of bring that sanctuary presence and make it ever present in this sort of vegan space. And it's no longer that one place that is sort of like, oh, okay, so you get that sanctuary, get out of the way, when you need to go there, do whatever you do. It's going to be a little bit something more central to all of that. And absolutely, this is something we're working towards. And so every single time somebody makes a contribution, so through donation or even through just using the app. So, and they're going to make a donation directly, but then they will know that they made a donation, and I will suggest to them how they can get involved even more. So we'll talk about all of that. Now it's so the first iteration is happening in about less than 10 days. So we have been testing it. We already have it. But then because we are running a crowdfunding campaign to have a bigger team, so we could get faster to these things. And as I told you, there are some amazing updates to share with people in 2024. So we will fight this fight, and I'm so incredibly happy that I have embarked on this project. One of the most amazing blessings is running into people like you, Jess. Thank you so very much for what you do. Brian, thank you for being the man that you are. You did us proud. So because men are usually sometimes not when it comes to caring for animals and nurturing, and we don't have a great reputation, but there are some of us that are okay. So, and I'm very glad. So Brian, but seriously, Brian, thank you so very much. And Alex, thank you so very much for introducing me to this gem of a person. And so Jess, will be in touch. Please take amazing care of yourself. And thank you very much for everything that you do. And so to our listeners, this is Jess Luchtel.
Very close, Luchtel.
Luchtel, perfect. Thank you. I didn't want to butcher it. So the founder of Sage Sanctuary in Florida, she is our guest today on the Tales from Vegan Animal Sanctuaries from around the world. And she just shared with us about her life, her beautiful organization, her team, particularly Brian, who's very critical to the operation. And really looking forward to learning more about Jess. So please give them a follow on Instagram, on Facebook, Sage Sanctuary. I could see it on see, hey, saying hi. See, beautiful way to wrap this up. Beautiful way to wrap this up. Thank you. So when they said give them a follow, he said yes, please. I could. Did you read the subtitles? When the roasters talk, you could read subtitles in front of the camera. So I'm just being silly. So please give them a follow. Please consider joining.
Every time you say it.
Yeah, see?
Punctuates it.
Yeah, I was making it up. So give them a follow, consider joining the family as a donor. And as I said, even something as small as $5, $10 goes a very long way in not just providing and in actually building community. So perfect, Andy, and I agree. Live Free Sanctuary just said that is perfect, and I absolutely agree. Jess, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and looking forward to doing this again.
Thank you so much, Faik. I can't wait to introduce you to the animals when it's not raining.
Absolutely, and in fact, I plan to come visit in person. I would love to tour the factories in 2024 if I can do it. So,
that's an amazing. Yeah,
it's on my mind. I would rent a car and I go around a few sanctuaries. So that includes all these beautiful sanctuaries, including Alex's and Karma and the older ones like yours that he has introduced me to, and plus a few other more. So, bye everybody. Bye Jess, and thank you so very much.
Bye, bye everyone.
Bye.